Hey everybody, and welcome back to Pre-Law Talk. My name is Joshua Garlick and I will be your host. I'm a current BYU Idaho student who will soon be applying to law school. I created this podcast in order to inform students about important topics such as the LSAT, the application process, law schools, and to give some advice. So last time we actually finished up part 2, which was the application process, with our last episode, which was about fee waivers. Today we're going to start our very first topic of part 3, and that is the status of the legal field. We'll go over 3 different parts of this topic. We'll talk about the law market, the law schools, and then what you should take from all this information that I'll be giving you. So let's get into it. Alright, so number 1, let's talk about the law market for a second. So if you ask a currently practicing lawyer, they will tell you that the current law job market is currently oversaturated. Ever since the economic downturn back in 2008, 2009, there had been too many people graduating from law schools and not enough positions requiring a JD degree. And so a lot of these law schools, a lot of these lawyers that are graduating are not getting jobs that require their JD, which they've been going to law school for 3 years for. Since then, the market has gotten a bit better, but only slightly. So it's still difficult to find a job requiring a JD, and to get that job, the market is still very competitive, and it is still oversaturated. So that's something to take into consideration whenever you're thinking about going into law, is whether or not you'll be able to get a job that requires your degree, and whether or not you actually want to get that degree. So let's talk about the impact that this has had and will have on law schools. Alright, so what kind of impact will this have on law schools? Well, currently, because of the oversaturation of law job market, less and less people have been applying to law school. So this has driven the demand for law students way up. So law schools are looking for law students to fill their programs. And it is currently more likely, because of this, that you will get into a higher ranked school. So it's more likely now than it was before 2008 for you to get into a higher ranked law school than you probably wouldn't have gotten into prior to 2008. So this, I already said that. You may even receive more scholarship offers as well, on top of being accepted to higher ranked schools. So that's just something to take into consideration when looking at law schools, is that you'll probably be able to get more scholarships and less debt because of it. But what does this mean for you? What should you take from this and do about it? So my last point that I'd like to speak on is, what should you take from this? Some things you should take from it are, if you don't love law, don't go to law school. I know it's pretty basic, pretty simple, but in the past, this is why the market is oversaturated, is because too many people, use law school as kind of like a, get out of the job market or something like that. They just decided to jump into law not really loving law, but looking at things like, I want to make a bunch of money, and lawyers make a lot of money, so I'll jump into it. Even though I don't love it, I can be good at it, and that's how the law market became oversaturated in the first place. And so now, if you don't love law, a lot of things could happen. So law school will be difficult for you. Then you'll be deep in debt if you do get all the way through law school without dropping out or just hating it. You may or may not get a job that requires your Juris Doctorate, and you'll probably hate that job if you do get it. So if you don't love law, don't go to law school. There are plenty of other places that you might get a job. But if you do love law and you do want to go to law school, now's the time to get in. Because now you can probably get into a great school, a better school than you could have in the past. And although getting a job might be another story, if you really love it, you'll find a way to make it work. So if you're planning on going into law for the money, don't do it. Do your research, and you'll find out that the average lawyer actually doesn't make as much as people tend to believe. Another profession might fit you better. So do it because you love it, not because you want to make tons of money, because that's not what will happen. As the job market steadily rises for the legal field, jobs will be made available. There are sectors of law field that are expanding, so be aware of those fields and know what you want to go into. And as always, just do your best, because the better that you do in law school, the more likely you'll be to get a job. And so take all this into consideration when looking at going into the law field before you get into law school, because you don't want to end up there with, $100,000 in debt from law school, hating it, not wanting to actually practice law, and then end up going into a career that doesn't even use your Juris Doctorate. A lot of people are doing that right now, so take that into consideration. That's all I've got for this time. Next time we'll be going into law school rankings, and we'll discuss a little bit about that and what you should know. So thank you for tuning in. This has been the first episode of part 3, talking about law schools, and then we'll be giving some advice. See you around. Special shout out to bensounds.com for all this free royalty-free music. Thank you, Ben Sounds.